bit before we. Oh, sorry. Also, if you guys are okay with it, this meeting is being recorded, just so that we can post it later, and so if you aren't here, you can still catch up. But just a little bit before we start, just brief class rules. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. I know it's a very basic rule, but you guys are here to learn, so yeah. And also, please keep the chat relevant and appropriate, and don't spam anything. And then if you're comfortable, I would love for your cameras to be on just so I'm not, talking to a screen. But oh, thanks, Tim. But yeah, if you're not, that's totally fine. And just have fun. Obviously, you're not here for a grade or anything. You're just here to learn. So yeah, pretty chill, pretty relaxed. This is for all of you who have not. There might have been an email sent out. I don't know if there was, but if you could all join the Google Classroom, I can put this code in the chat too, if that's easier for you guys. If I can. Have all of you used Google Classroom before?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, that's good. And I guess we could wait a minute if somebody needs to join. I only saw a few of you in there already, so. And if you need help joining too, obviously don't be afraid to ask.
So
Can you see it if I join or if I make it into presentation mode?
nope. Nope. It says loading.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, that messes up some of my plans, but it's okay.
I don't think so.
Does anybody need more time to join the Google Classroom?
I got my Google Classroom on a different app.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you. The official account also just sent a link, which is a lot easier. So sorry, it's hard to keep the chat open and then on the slides at the same time. I'm trying. I think you need an email address, a Google email address to join the Google Classroom, but you could create one, and then it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever used Canvas or Google Meet or something like that. It's very similar.
Yeah, Canvas and Google Classroom at my school.
Yeah, I use Canvas too.
It doesn't work for me. It doesn't happen when I clicked on it. And I don't have Safari or Google.
That's I mean, you can always join later. I think we're running a little low on time now, just because we waited a bit. So maybe you could ask your parents or something to help after class too.
Yeah, it's fifth. We wasted 19 minutes.
Yeah. So why don't we just get started?
Yeah, just get started.
Yeah, we'll just get started. Okay. So what exactly is marine science? So before we start, well, I see I had it all planned out so I could present it, but it's okay. Marine science at its core is the study of how marine life and how organisms interact with each other. So it's more of like that includes everything. It includes like the little baby plants and the giant whales and sharks, and also like underwater volcanoes and like all the salt in the ocean. That's all included in marine science. And then
So, like kelp or
kelp, yeah,
coral?
everything. Those are actually part of, you kind of got into the second one. Those are part of the biological area of study. So there's four main parts. There's chemical, physical, biological, and geological. Or like geology. So so
So, so it's like showing places and stuff?
kind of. They're
Yeah,
all
we just learned about the geological in school. We're learning about rocks.
Oh, yeah, rocks. It's a very important part. But geological marine science or marine geology is more like how the or where Earth, sorry, I'm trying to phrase this right. It's more like the structures underneath the ocean, like in the ground. But Viola, you have a question?
Uh, I also did marine biology and summer camp.
Oh, so you and Ximing both did? That's really cool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's I think that's the most popular one. So, um, I think this is you kind of got into this. Why do people study marine science? The main point is to help preserve and protect our oceans. Obviously, with climate change and global warming happening, I'm sure you're
And water pollution?
and
Sounds like
water pollution. Yeah, that's a very big one. And then it goes the other way around too. If we study the ocean, we can help protect us too. You know, we can predict when tsunamis are coming, or if we need to evacuate an area because of a hurricane. And then the ocean also provides us with food, and it also gives us, it controls our weather. Without the ocean, Earth would be a very uncomfortable planet to live in. You'd be sweating. Um, and just some career examples in case you guys want to go into marine science. You can become marine biologist. They just study like how organisms interact with their environments. An environmental planner, that's a little different. It's more for artsy people, that one. I'd say you're kind of like an engineer, an architect, and you're um building buildings based off, you know, the weather and the ocean. And then an oceanographer is a little different. They mostly go into the chemical and the physical parts of marine science, which I mentioned right here. Yeah, so just some potential careers for when you guys grow up and want to go into marine science.
cool.
Mm-hmm. And then this is just a course syllabus, what we're going to be doing all 6 weeks. You can see week 1, we're just having an introduction. And then we go into kind of ecosystems and then the deep sea, where we're going to start to go into more of the geological and the chemical parts of it. And then we'll finish off with a little conclusion about climate change.
I like to prefer the apex predators. I prefer,
Yeah,
yeah. I like,
apex predators are pretty cool.
yeah.
Viola?
I learned about food webs and a lot of this in my summer camp too. I have a notebook that has a lot of it in there, even though it's mostly project planning.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. And later on, we're also going to have a project where you guys design your own food web. So that's going to be really fun. You already
Is that
know.
like so like goldfish?
Goldfish can be part of it, yeah.
Freshwater. Or clam? I see. Mollusk. Rupees? No.
Naming a lot of crustaceans. Yeah.
Orca. Shrimp, lobster,
I like shrimp.
krill.
Shimmy. Oh,
I do like
okay.
Arctic food webs.
Yeah, you can. We're gonna go into that later because that project is gonna start in week 2. So, yeah, that was just so you guys could know. But now I guess we'll get into kind of what you're here for, I guess. The main portion of the day is evolution. Um, does
Yes.
anybody want to share what they already know about evolution? Viola? Viola?
It's what?
Sorry, no. You can continue.
It's like the process of developing and a lot of land animals, including humans, also have that. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's perfect, actually. Tim or Anna?
Okay, evolution is like how when we were chimpanzees, we started evolving over thousands and thousands of years until we became humans. We still have some parts of like the animal counterparts. We still have a tailbone and other stuff. Uh, some animals, when there are changes, they adapt to the new environment, but it might take a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, evolution is a really, really long process. But that's a really good point. That's a great example. Anna?
I know that the theory of evolution was made by Charles Darwin.
That's actually great. You're predicting stuff already. We're going to go over Darwin's theory of evolution. So just hold on to that thought.
Who's
You're
Darwin's?
Charles Darwin? He's a very important scientist. We're going to learn about him.
Oh,
In marine biology?
No, he focuses on evolution as a whole. But marine evolution is part of marine biology.
Okay.
like everything evolution.
Everything evolution. We'll learn about him. Okay, so you guys basically said everything. Evolution is the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms. So basically what you were saying, they grow from one animal and then they kind of transform by a process called natural selection into a different animal over a really, really long period of time. Yeah, Viola?
Viola and
Viola, sorry.
and I learned about selection, both natural and I guess human in third grade.
Oh, that was really early. I think I only learned.
Yeah, it was science, and we only had um like 2 lessons about it.
Mhm. Oh, that's really cool. Tim?
So evolution. So I've learned about like humans started alternating dogs, for example, or plants. They choose one type, and then there was a tiny change. Then they kept growing the changes with another plant with the same thing until it becomes like the stuff that we know, animals that we know today.
That's true. They did breed a lot of dogs and plants so that we could use them today. It's a very good point. And then, yeah, Kim's right. There is human selection. Or, yeah, that's domestication is a better word. So, and that's kind of what you were saying. And then just to make sure, I know you guys know what an organism is, because we're going to be using this word like every other sentence. So, does anybody want to read the definition out loud? Or Tim? Yeah.
Any bio any
Biological.
biological living
Mhm.
system that functions as an individual life form. All organisms are composed of these cells.
That's great. That's perfect, actually. So yeah, just any animal or any plant, just one of them is considered an organism. Viola?
I don't think a virus is one because they have a virus has to be attached to a individual life form in order to survive. I learned about it in some
That's a really good point, actually. I should have said eukaryotic cells here. I can put that right now, actually.
not all organism.
There we go. And you don't need, oh, I misspelled it. You don't need to know that word. That's just that means that the cell has a nucleus, but don't worry about
What's a nucleus?
Nucleus.
a nucleus. That's more of molecular kind of chemistry. So we're not gonna get into that. But if you want to research it on your own,
Yeah, sure.
feel free to. So this is just an example of, oh no, see, I had this plan so this would appear afterwards, but then I can't present it, so it doesn't work that way. Oh well. I think someone entered the waiting room if we want to admit them, but so natural selection. You guys kind of mentioned this already, I think. Ximing, yeah, did you want to say something?
Can I see the last slide for organism because I'm writing these down?
Oh, of course, of course. And I didn't want to give you guys homework on the first week. That's why I didn't make you write these down. But of
no.
course, feel free to. Oh, I see you already did. It's great, actually.
It's just blurry, I guess.
Oh, okay. And then I'm also gonna post these slides or on Discord and in the chat and on Google Classroom. So, and even on the website for Sage too. So you guys can probably find them anywhere you look after class. Though, of course, if you need me to slow down, then don't feel or feel free to ask. And yeah, the Discord link was just put in the chat. So if you guys want to join, that's another great way of communication.
Why is everyone silent?
I think we're waiting for people to copy stuff down, though if they're done, we can move on.
Oh.
I'm not silent.
Okay, so natural selection. Does anybody want to read this slide? Sure, yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Natural selection. Organisms that are more adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and pass on the genes that aided their success. It is as if nature is choosing them to survive. Example, brown and white field mice. Brown field mice are more likely to survive because their color is more blended, I guess. And white is like clouds against a blue sky.
That's, I was about to get into that, but you kind of covered that already. So natural selection is basically when some animals that have they're of the same species. That means they're the same kind of animal, but they have different things like humans. Some have blonde hair and some have black hair and some have brown hair, but they're all the same species. And then you kind of pass that trait down through generations, right? So if your mom has black hair, you'll probably have black hair too. But this is an example of it in the wild, which is kind of what Viola said already. So you can see how the oh no. So you can see how there's two kinds of mice. They're the same, they just have different colored hair. But when the hawk comes, obviously he's going to choose the mice that he can see better to eat, right? Because it's easier to catch those that you can see better. So then that leaves only one white mouse compared to three. No, but it leaves more of the gray brown mice. And then these mice mean that they can reproduce, they can pass down those traits. And then so all of the babies will eventually have brown hair, and the white mouse will probably get eaten.
Yes, why not? We go like extinct in some way.
Yeah. No, they are the
Purple.
same species. So the way,
Just the color of that kind of mouse,
Mhm,
not the whole
yeah.
species.
And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always slow down. But here we are, Darwin's theory of evolution. I think I forgot who mentioned it earlier, but it was mentioned earlier.
Pre-existing is wrong.
I mentioned it earlier.
You mentioned it. Oh, thank you. Is it? No, but that's not right. It's spelled.
I guess you could just click ignore and the red line will just go away.
Yeah, if it bothers you, I can click it. But does anybody want to read this slide, or I can read it? Anyone besides Tim and Viola? You guys have talked a lot. If not, Tim, you can go ahead and read it.
Yay!
Oh.
Darwin's theory of evolution. Charles Darwin proposed that species can change over time. That's new species comes from pre-existing species, and that all species share a common ancestor. Natural selection. This means that all life in the ocean is originated from one species. This is important because it tells us all life is related.
Yeah, that's great. So basically, Charles Darwin was a scientist, right? He studied how animals evolved over time, how they changed over time. So because obviously the species that existed millions of years ago, they don't exist now. That's why there's no dinosaurs, right? Thank God, because I would be terrified. But
Won't dinosaurs just eat you?
they would eat me.
Probably.
They'd probably eat you too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Probably human species are going to be the one that's going extinct next if dinosaurs lived after that great meteor asteroid.
Yeah, thank God for the asteroid.
Thank God for the asteroid, just hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But basically that was got a little sidetracked. So that basically means that he kind of came up with the theory of natural selection almost. He showed how all species could originate, but they could eventually change so much that they turn into two different species. And this, of course, means that all life in the ocean originated from one species, which we're going to learn about. But that means everything is related in some way or some form. So just keep that in mind. And just an example of this, obviously, we all know what a shark is and what a dolphin is. This one doesn't matter, it's extinct. But obviously, you can trace their ancestry back. You see, they all came from this one fish,
Ancestral fish.
the ancestral fish. We don't know exactly what species of fish this was, but we know that at some point that fish crawled onto land and eventually developed legs and became a reptile and later a mammal. And then we know the fish also evolved into a shark. Maybe it grew teeth, or maybe it got harder skin, got rid of its scales. Yeah, did you want to say something?
Why do I feel like the shark has a ichthyosaur and the dolphin could be ancestors too?
Well, it could actually. We don't really know for sure because humans weren't alive at that time. But I think this chart was created based off the study of the structure, like the internal workings of the dolphin and the shark. And I think they're very different from each other, because dolphins, they breathe through a hole in the back of their neck. They have lungs, whereas sharks breathe through their gills. So it's a
Yeah.
completely different system, even
Wait,
though
what?
they're similar.
Oh yeah, dolphins are like literally like on their head more like. And I watched a video at a museum and it says something about like how dolphins and whales and humans could be related
Really? Well, probably.
because the whale's nose are like the whale's blowhole is like separated to two nasal passages, and they also have something that resembles a back leg.
That makes sense because we're all mammals, right? We all have they have hair too. So that makes a lot of sense. And that is supported by Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Because we all came from one animal.
One.
hmm And then, yeah, you guys can just see how they all came from one, even though they followed very different paths. So,
Very.
Wait, so if sharks eat dolphins, aren't they just eating their like more a little
Okay.
more developed siblings?
What? Okay.
well, you know, siblings are normally considered to be the same species.
Oh yeah, true. So
So I don't think it would really count.
yeah,
hmm
but they're related to one grandpa. Or
Well, it'd be like a really, really, really great grandpa.
yeah, because it's extinct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, good.
Probably like 1 trillion times, Grandpa.
Something like that. Maybe millions or billions even. So, moving on. This is something I want you guys to remember. It's not maybe exactly pertaining to what we're doing today, but it's very important to know. That is, water is essential to all living things. You cannot survive without water.
Yes.
Life started in the water. I don't know when it's gonna end, but we're gonna use water until we die, every single day. It's very important. Yeah, just keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah.
Oh no, see, I had a whole presentation planned with the slides so that they would pop up later, but it's okay. Sorry. So now we're gonna go back very, very far in time. 3.5 billion years ago. Right here. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah, right here. Okay. And that's when life on Earth first began. It began in the water, in the very, very deep parts next to underwater volcanoes, right? Because we need heat to make more water. Ximing, that's a good question. I am like 95% sure that well, there's obviously a limited number of elements, right? And water is made up of three elements, one oxygen, two hydrogen, sorry, three atoms. Yeah. So water, have you ever heard of the water cycle? I'm answering Ximing's question, is it possible to make more water?
Maybe.
Um,
Because
well,
like eventually I think the water might run out eventually.
no, because, well, sorry. If you think about the water cycle, right? When water evaporates, it goes
What
into
if you put some hydrogen and some oxygen together?
No, but
You
like
could.
people
That's
people are and everything are also gonna be drinking water and stuff like that. So
yeah, but water also comes out of you too, right? When you go to the bathroom or when you sweat, that's water coming out of you.
Okay. So water. It's made of two components. First one I forgot. And then oxygen.
Two hydrogens and one oxygen.
Okay.
That's not completely important. But water, technically, there is a limited amount of water on Earth, but water can be broken down into things. You guys will learn about this like years later when you're taking something like AP biology. I'm actually learning about that right now. But yeah,
So
it's
they learned this in middle school?
I know I'm in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm in my third year of high school.
Oh. to know what age.
It's okay. I'm 16, so just that was a little off topic, but it's not really possible in nature. How about that? So back to what we were talking
Can
about.
I answer that question?
Oh yeah, sure, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
You can't exactly make water, but what we do is that we take the water that is dirty, like sewage water and such, and we clean it and make it possible for human consumption, possible for the planets to use.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
sanitization.
Yeah, that's a way of creating more clean water, of course, yeah. And that's very important, especially because there's a limited amount of that. But obviously, we're not running out of salt water anytime soon. We have the entire ocean. So the clean water is very precious. I agree.
So clean the water. About that, so like there's like 80 billion people on Earth. So
8 billion.
what, 8 billion?
Yeah, not 80. We'd be piling on top of each other. Just 8 billion.
Okay, 8 billion people on Earth.
Mhm.
So 8 billion people on Earth. So won't that mean we'll be using a lot of water, and water's like really precious?
Mhm.
Well, I also did learn that like the Earth's water kind of came from like a kind of meteorite that fell down because the Earth didn't start with water. It was just a rock.
So for the first part of your question, even though fresh water is limited, there's still a lot of it. There's tons and tons of it.
So
Okay, so there's definitely enough to go around.
so how much water, how many years of water do we have? How many years?
Water gets recycled as, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, shuk. Yeah, it's okay. Huh? Sorry.
It's pronounced shog.
Shog?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but that's a very if you want to stay later, we can talk about it more, but we are running out of time, so why don't we keep going with the lesson? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, as I was saying, life began really, really long ago. And it started as these little single cell microbes that lived next to underwater volcanoes, right? And then over the years, that's over about 1 billion years, which if you imagine it, humans have only been alive for, I'd say approximately 1 million, less than that. But so it's a huge amount of time. Okay, that's when photosynthetic plants begin to grow. That means they're using sunlight and they're creating their own energy. And it takes another 1.5, almost 2 billion years for complex life to grow. We consider complex life as, I guess, as a simple definition, it's anything that you can see with your eye. Anything that has enough cells in it for you to see with the human eye would, I guess you can consider complex life. Yeah, just that's very simplified, but that's when the first plants and very, very small animals begin to grow. And then we come to the Cambrian explosion. This is a very important time in evolution because obviously all of life is still in the water, right? It's still living in the ocean. But the Cambrian explosion is when we started getting these huge creatures popping up. I'm talking like the size of houses and all, and this is like, well, it's known as the biggest period of evolution in the world. So it's very important because it kind of created the foundation for animals that we see today. And if these were my pictures, then I can move in now. These were all animals that were created. I say created, but they really evolved during the Cambrian explosion, right? So you can see how they look similar, and you can see how they've come from the same animal, kind of. They all have like a shell, a ridged shell, but obviously they're all very different. And if you look, that kind of looks like a snail, right? And then I don't know what that looks like, but that kind of looks like a scorpion. And if you think about it, all those animals could evolve into what we know today. So, just as like, I'm gonna go through this part pretty quickly. It's kind of complicated, but obviously, these are just the kind of different evolutionary periods. So Precambrian, that's what I was talking about in this slide with the single-celled microbes right here and all the way to there. And then the Cambrian explosion is right here. That happened during the Paleozoic era. And I don't really expect you guys to remember these. This is just so you can get an idea of how long it took for life to evolve in the ocean, right? So you can better understand kind of why it's so important to study marine science and marine biology. But obviously the Cambrian explosion, we got animals like this. They kind of look like roly-polies, but they're not. And then obviously, if I move them up a little, you guys can see the dates. Yeah, Tim?
What that kind of looks like a giant horseshoe crab.
A horseshoe crab? I
Yeah.
don't know what a horseshoe crab is actually. But
It's an
Oh.
animal with a shell with a spiky sharp point on its the back side of its shell.
it's very interesting. I'll look it up after class.
We once went on a field trip and saw a horseshoe crab.
I think
We went on a boat, and then the person on the boat caught a horseshoe crab.
sounds like a very fun field trip. I don't know. I've never gone on a boat for a field trip, actually. I've only gone on a boat twice in my life. But Kim said horseshoe crabs are descended from, I'm gonna mispronounce that, Eutrophids, which were the scorpion things on the last slide. Yeah, just that was in the chat, by the way.
See that?
Yeah, you can see how things from way back then come to now. And then obviously they're just kind of more examples. We're never gonna see another animal like this, probably, especially in our lifetimes. But yeah, that happened during the Paleozoic era. And then the Mesozoic era, this is when the dinosaurs existed. I don't know, have any of you watched Dinosaur Train, the TV show?
No.
No. Maybe I'm getting old. But
No.
it's okay. The Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous, this is when the T-Rexes and the Bronchiosaurus and the Triceratops existed. So, yeah. And then all the way there from now, we're living right here in the Cenozoic era. Yeah, just so you guys can see, all the way back here, 4,500 million years ago. That's also, yeah. And then here is present day. These are kind of just a general idea. But here's an example. You can see how sharks, this is a great white shark, that little white thing down there. And then the megalodon here existed not that far ago, but like a very significant amount of time ago. And then you can see how they originated all the way back here with some ancestral fish. I guess we know that it's a Metaspringnia, but and then you can, oh, they do look like an axolotl. That's a good point. Thank you. The diagram, it took me a long time to find this diagram. I'm very proud of it.
Where's the axolotl scene?
I believe they were talking about here, this one.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like it.
Yeah, very true.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have those weird
Yeah, it doesn't have.
feathery.
It's called gills
Yeah.
with feelers.
Yeah. That was a little off topic, but it's okay. You guys can, this is just an example of how things have evolved over the eras. And obviously every single animal in the ocean has done this. But of course, we don't have time to go over every single animal in the ocean. So these are just for sharks, just for reference.
Yes.
And then why is this important? Evolution is very important because it helps us understand how organisms originated. And this can help us because one, it could teach us their biological makeup. So if, like, say for example, a shark gets sick, and then we know that sharks all originated from one ancestral shark, right? So say a great white shark gets sick, and then all the great white sharks die, but we figure out the gene that made them die. We can start checking other sharks like hammerhead sharks for the same gene, and if they have that gene, then we know to watch them so that we don't lose another species, right? And then obviously that kind of leads us to the second point. This can help us preserve them, and it also teaches us which traits natural selection favors. Obviously, humans now, we have a lot of technology, right? So a lot of things that we're lacking, like speed to escape from predators, or like, yeah, we can see what nature favors, kind of. Like, we know that sharks have a white bottom so that they blend in with the sunlight, and then a dark top so that they blend in with the ocean floor, right? And yeah, we're almost out of time, but
I remember you said something about if one great white shark gets sick and all the great white sharks die. I think it's possible if all of them have similar genes like bananas.
like bananas.
Because bananas, I think they all have similar genes. So if one starts to get infected, also others get infected too, and they still won't die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like, it spreads, it's a disease. But I think because we're almost out of time, we have 2 more minutes. Just a really quick review, if anyone wants to raise their hand and share. This is a fill in the blank. So Darwin's theory of evolution states that all life comes from one.
Common ancestor.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Anna put it in the chat too. Why don't we give other people a chance to participate too if they want to? Though thank you for the answer. It was very fast. Evolution is when organisms blank over time. Does anybody want to take this one? Xingming? Or you can just unmute and speak.
Like change.
Change? Yeah, exactly. And change, a synonym of change is diversify. So it's a little more scientific, but you're right. You're right. And then all life started in the blank. Water? Yeah, Anna's really fast at this. And then obviously the last one, the Cambrian explosion, was one of the biggest periods of evolution ever recorded. And you can see where they fit. And then, oh no, I had a blank slide, and then it wouldn't let me present, but it's okay. Yeah, I want you guys to remember that everything needs water. Everything. You can't survive without water if you're a living thing. And then, yeah, we're at 6 o'clock now. So I'll see all of you next week. You guys can email me at sophiashu2018@gmail.com, or you can talk in Google Classroom or in Discord, whatever you want. Yeah. If you guys want to stay back and chat, I can stay for a while, or you guys are free to go. So I'll see you all next week at the same time.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming. And don't forget to join the Google Classroom. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.